We continue the International Research Conference, The 21st Century, Libraries, Traditions and Innovations, and start its second part, discussions. Among the discussion participants are the heads of 3 national libraries of the neighboring countries. Janne Andresoo, Director General of the National Library of Estonia. Director General of the National Library of Poland, Dr. Tomasz Makowski. And Professor Dr. Renaldas Gudauskas, Director General of the Martynas Mažvydas National Library of Lithuania. And also, today we will be joined by Vice Minister of Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Lithuania, Ms. Ingrida Veliutė. So I invite all the participants of the discussion on the stage. The discussion participants will try to answer the following questions. What is the role of partnerships and what opportunities do they offer? What is the impact of the transformation of building spaces on the emergence of new activities? What new developments have taken place in the fellow institutions of our neighbors? What is their vision when it comes to the transformation of the libraries of the 21st century? I would like to remind that our conference is streamed live over the internet. The conference attendees include all the public libraries of Lithuania. Questions to the participants of the discussion can be presented by everyone who is present here at the conference hall, as well as by those who are watching the conference on the YouTube channel. Feel free to take this exceptional opportunity. The discussion participant promised to answer all the questions and even tricky ones. So let's begin. Good day. I wanted to say good afternoon, but no, good day everyone. I'm really glad to be here today with all of you. And I'd like to begin with a thought, with the idea that it's really important to have a very strong relationships. And so we will begin with a part that is called the role of partnerships. And this international conference is organized based on the National Library format, 3B plus P, meaning 3 Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, plus Poland. But I would like to address the very first question to Professor Renaldas Gudauskas and to ask, is it really 3B plus P today, or are we having 2B plus P?
Thank you for your question. First of all, I would like to wish very good health to our friend Andresoo, who is absent today, because he was maybe father of our collaboration, which started 30 years ago, almost strongly. And we had a very good project, and we still have a very good project, which is called LILA-Est, Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia. Every 2 years, we are meeting each other in different countries, and we have very good experiences, workshops, etc. Yeah? Even tricky projects. Well, but right now we would like to expand our partnership with my best friend from Poland, because I think it's natural. Our collaboration, our partnership on political level, on economic level, should expand our partnership also in the cultural field, and maybe later Vice Minister will tell about our newest developments in this field. Also, I would like to mention Biblioteka Baltica project. It is almost more than 20 years old project, but in this project, the most active participants have been 3 Baltic states, if I am not misleading, no? It's okay. So, and in this project, 3 Baltic states, including after that, plus Scandinavian countries, Poland, again, Germany, Russia was very active in the past, now it's different. And we have different formats, different projects. We have very good teams, and right now it's maybe new opportunity to restart our cooperation.
So I would like to remind all the participants and all those who are watching us online that we will have from 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the discussion for your questions. So if you'll have some questions, please be prepared to ask them at the very end of our discussion. And now let's begin with a question: if this format could be used for further collaborations. Maybe you already have some new ideas in mind. So, Professor Gudauskas, could you reveal something for us?
I will ask to help Janne Andresoo, but I will start. I will remind, several years ago, with your initiative, we have signed agreement among our parliaments, yes? Because all all our national libraries, Baltic States national libraries, also our parliamentary libraries. It's very important mission to help state decision makers to have quality information, and I think it's one of areas which could be possible to expand. What do you think?
First of all, I would like to start with congratulations, dear Renaldas, and all members of the family of National Library of Lithuania. I bring warmest wishes from Estonian colleagues. You are always inspiring us, and I wish you all success, happy readers and joyful users. And I think it's now good to continue speaking about our partnership and collaboration, which has been really successful, as my colleague already described. And I'm sure that we have a lot of areas, possibilities for collaboration which we haven't used still. We are really good from learning from each other. Our Latvian and Lithuanian partners are always first colleagues. We are testing our innovative ideas and our development ideas and projects. And this way, I'm sure we will continue learning from each other. But speaking about something very specific, or which are these areas, then Renaldas Gudauskas already mentioned that our common area is that role of parliamentary library, but also digital humanities, big data, all this area needs a lot of cooperation, collaboration, and there are a lot of opportunities for us.
Dr. Tomasz Makowski, could you reveal something that is maybe already happening and that something that you have in mind for the future? Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Poland.
I would like to join congratulations for the library in the centennial year, and to the director Renaldas Gudauskas. This is a wonderful ceremony. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for yesterday evening and today conference. Well, we have obvious connections and links with Lithuania for centuries, so this is obvious cooperation, and we have quite good cooperation, and we work together for many, many years. These two national libraries are quite big and responsible for the country services, library services, and we play this central role not only as a deposit of our nation's collections, most important, most precious, but also as a libraries who leads really in their countries. And Liz Jolie sketched the difference between collaboration and partnerships. And this is quite good start of the answer. We have partnership, that's obvious, and we have collaboration. But we would like to improve this collaboration between our libraries, 3 Baltic states and Poland as well. We are facing the same challenges, actually. We are different. We have different problems, but our history, we shared history for many, many years, and we shared especially economic situation last century. We had very similar situation after the Second World War, and we had these generations of our citizens as well as our librarians raised in a really similar way. So our libraries are different than in Western world, and we are just trying to be as good as we can find there. So we are facing that, and we can find many answers for activities we are preparing in our libraries, and we can learn from each other what is successfully accomplished and what is a wrong way, wrong direction. We are not as big as other countries, even together. And when we make a mistake, we suffer harder than bigger and more wealthy countries. That is why we want to learn, we want to exchange our ideas, our experiences actually. And the first we can cooperate is, of course, building our platform, our national platform with metadata, with our collections, and we can exchange everything we prepare. Digital world is very useful for cooperation. It's a tool, of course. It's a real tool, and we can use in a mature way, or we can use as a not professional librarian. So it's our choice to cooperate and use it in the best way.
And how often you exchange your ideas and experiences?
We are meeting quite frequent with Baltic states national libraries and national librarians. We are in a very small group of national librarians, and we meet together many times in a year, and this is very fruitful and very working days when we meet and talking about money. And because there is no country, and I think Liz will confirm that, there is no country who can deliver enough budget for a national library. We can spend all money for roads, for welfare, whatever we can imagine. We can spend all money which exists in the world. So now we must to choose what should we do at first to survive. That's obvious for us. We must remember that libraries are not obvious in the world when people all are born. We are all born as illiterate. There is no natural that we are reading. Someone must to learn reading and joy of reading. That is why libraries are important for civilization, not only as a part of the past, of noble past, but as a tool of modernization. It doesn't matter what technology we will use. We are still human beings, and we still have to live our lives in best way. And that is why libraries and national libraries as a central libraries responsible for a system of libraries in every country are has future as a libraries, actually. So places when people with great credit of trust, because all librarians has extremely big credit of trust of everybody coming into the library. Because every librarian talking with other straight into eyes. And this is different always between librarian and school teacher. Librarian never judge, never give any marks and speaking with parents. And this is always full trustee cooperation. That is why librarians encourage people to be someone better, to read something, to, especially when we consider talented young people not from wealthy families. Librarians are responsible for finding talented people and encourage them to be someone else, someone better.
I think our headline should be "Go Librarians" from now on. And, and now I'd like to address a question to our Vice Minister, Ingrida Veliutė, who I know that came back from Poland about a month ago. Am I right? Yes, about a month ago. Could you share your insights about the collaboration?
Hello. I would like to say that I'm very happy that we have in this library a 100 year of a high quality reading, and the congratulations to all the team that is working very hard, and to director who's leading all this big family, and actually we are very thankful for your job. If we are talking about connections between Poland, I have two very personal examples. I was in the same day in Warsaw in two libraries. It was some years ago. In the National Library, I was asking to give me an original document, an original map, and they said, no, we have everything digitalized, please go there, and that's all. And then I went to Warsaw University Library, and they gave me original. And it was about one Lithuanian small town, it's Druskininkai or Druskeniki, and they said, "You're very welcome, it's original paper, you can read it and you can watch it." And actually I was like the idea of thinking that we have a lot of to do in a common job, that because some Lithuanians papers are not digitalized yet, and that it is, but of course it's not only the one reason for collaboration. It's not only one time when I was in Warsaw this autumn, and I think it is very important to have the good connections from the very high until the very working level, not only between politicians, but also between librarians who are working. And I think we already have all those connections, but maybe we not know everything, because it's normal. We cannot know, even we are from ministry, we cannot know every connection that we have in Lithuania. We have more than, I think, 2,000 libraries, so it's impossible to connect everything and to get knowledges. But it is very important to understand that we have not only common writers in the past, but we also have common writers and readers in today. So it is important for translations, for exchanges of books, and for exchanges of connection, of knowledges, and of course of understandings of politicians, that the book is the most important thing. And it is not important, is it digital or is it in a paper, print, or whatever. It is important what we are reading and what quality of reading do we have in our schools and at home.
Of course.
Yeah, Renaldas remind me that time is running very fast. 2 years ago we had IFLA Congress in Poland, in Wrocław. And I would like to underline a very active presence of Lithuanian librarians, Estonian and Latvian as well. So it was a very great presentation of our part of Europe at this Congress. And it was very, very important for us to show this experience, so different experience of Eastern or Central part of Europe. And libraries who are growing very fast because of Global Libraries Project founded by Bill and Melinda Gates. As well as our governmental funds we had. And this is very important for us to convince other governments to spend money for libraries as a tool of modernization, not as a very nice history, not museums of paper, which can be proud of, but about this modernization perspective which libraries have. And we've shown that at IFLA Congress in Wrocław in 2017 very hard, that our libraries can present very good prepared services. We could see that at the presentation of Renaldas today, for instance. And what is really important, that library world now is very unified. We don't struggle with problems between continents. We are just well standardized and we're well prepared for the cooperation. And digitization, which was mentioned, is very important for us, not only as a protection of our collections, but as new possibilities of cooperation. We digitized more than 3 million items last month. This is quite big. We are digitizing 20 million pages every year, so this is quite a good result. And we are preparing that not only for protection of our stocks, which is important, of course, because we don't need to show any map protecting from a reader, but this is the possibility to use it in other countries, other libraries. Our policy of digitizing is putting all material without any watermark, without any name of the library, in the best solution, because we want to share, we want to give all we have in our stocks to reuse. And when you ask us about our mission, actually there's 2 words: open stocks. And thanks to digitization, we can do it. And it is, of course, very important when we consider our history, because the same cities, villages, places, historical event, moments are very common for many history, many countries' history. And of course, with Lithuania, we have so many shared history. So this is obvious that we should, sorry, Latvia and Estonia as well. So you are in Vilnius, that is why I'm focused on that. Baltic states has great history, and original documents are in all type of libraries in our collections. And when we put it in digital world together, probably we will see the real picture of that.
I see that Professor Gudauskas wants
Just
to
to
add
remind,
something.
I'm very happy just because Tomasz has mentioned IFLA experience 2 years ago in Wrocław. It was beautiful. I need to remind that the parallel session of IFLA Congress was in Vilnius National Library. It was local history and genealogy. So everything is inside and everything is in place.
Dr. Tomasz Makowski mentioned that time runs fast, so we have to move on to the next question. And now all of us, of course, let's take a look at the screen and listen to a question prepared by Director General of Lithuanian National Philharmonic, Rūta Prusevičienė.
Bendradarbiaudami kūrėme proveržį. Instituciniam proveržiui reikalingos vietos ir užsienio partnerystės. Nacionalinės bibliotekos jau seniai yra globalių procesų dalyvės ir aktyviai bendradarbiauja tarpusavyje. Kokia strategija jūsų manimų yra naudingesnė? Konkurencinė kova ar bendradarbiavimas? Ir dar norėčiau paklausti, ar jūs įžvelgiate neformalaus bendradarbiavimo naudą?
So let's talk about the benefits of the informal cooperation. Maybe Ms. Janne Andresoo could tell us.
So We are speaking about competition and cooperation. First thing I got in my mind was speaking about competition is that competition between different institutions, including national libraries. I had such an experience a few years ago when we started make a lobby to get financing for our library building to reconstruct our library. Then first thing what I heard from my Minister of Culture that prove it that it's important. I was thinking, why I need to prove something? It's important anyway. It is. And then I realized that I was really naive, that it's not like that, that it's important and that it is. But I really, we really need to, we are competing with other institutions, and we need to show that we are really relevant for our society. And this is competition which will never end. So you don't have to choose this approach. This competition is choosing you. So this is about competition. But speaking about competition between different national libraries, this has been always here. I'm a bit jealous because our good colleagues, Lithuanian colleagues, they have such a wonderful new renovated, very modern building, but this means that we have a very good example to go on, and we will follow you some. Yes, we will follow, probably. And also, when we are speaking the same topic, National Library building, we are now really reconstructing, and we were successful, and we got this financing. Also, Poland, the National Library of Poland is a very good example for us. And this is cooperation, partnership, but in the same way, somehow competition, in very, very good way. We are comparing to each other and learning from each other, and this is what is the best speaking about competition. So,
it's a good example. It is like in the family. We cooperate very hard, but of course we compete. That's obvious. But we take care about each other, and we really happy when one of member of this noble National Library family has success, and we are very happy. But of course we are competing, but in this best way you can imagine, like in the family, like in the very close family. And this is, I think, example who can show you how we cooperate and how we compete. We are compete, not be jealous about successes. Maybe because there are so many successes in these countries we are talking about.
I think competitions are always the best way, because now we also have the international Mikalojaus Konstantinas Čiurlionis pianist and organist competition here in Vilnius. So I think, and it's a really, really interesting stuff. We should all watch that online. And I think competing is a good way. Would you agree?
In general, yes, but just small remark. Estonians almost never have followers. According to our experience. Okay, but it was nice to hear your intentions. You remind me our situation. It was necessary for me to come in the year 2014 to Prime Minister of Lithuania, and I have told only one sentence. Reconstruction of National Library must be national priority. Then I came second time and I repeated, and it happened. You know, So it is like a very important part to compete with right strategies, right fundraising strategies. But first of all, competition is related to competences. If you have a right mix of competences in your organization, so you like in sport, you can compete, but it's not aggressive competition, it's cooperation.
Actually, I can add that the question was like a bigger little bit, because we feel every pulse of National Opera, National Philharmonic, National Library, national or not national, and yeah, we are feeling sometimes like, you know, in a very, and we want to help to everyone, and it's not so easy because we have a fund, we know how much money we are getting, and so on and so on. But it is important that we understand what it is important. And actually, if we are talking about the competences, yeah, we are trying at the moment. We are trying to ask of all national organizations, of directors of all national organizations, to sit around the table and to try to find the solution how to share about the knowledges between the different those institutions, and to prepare one application for competences. So it's not so easy, but it's quite funny, yeah? It is. I hope that it will be. So we hope we will do our best that all our national institutions will be happy, and that the people who are working on all those institutions will be happy too, because they will have a possibility to understand, to get more knowledge, and so on and so on. So
we are playing a unique role. You must understand that National Library in every country is a sign of independence. When we have our libraries, and the history of Lithuanian National Library, for instance, is a good example, and not always we can show National Library as our treasure, every nation's treasure. And every National Library plays very similar role in every country. That is why we don't compete but cooperate, because we know that we are responsible, that our responsibilities and duties are very similar in every country. And this uniqueness of National Library role is changing. It's changing. Definition of development, when you consider National Library, is very difficult to prepare. What does it mean? Development in institution responsible for historical storage, or storage of historical documents, and all what was published in a certain country. And what does it mean, development, in that sense, of course? But we feel that national librarians should find this development definition, because someone else could find it instead of us. So it will be harder for our role. So I think competition it's not as bad as we could think when we consider, for instance, competition between public libraries, school libraries, academic libraries, and so on. Now we are facing very different situation, because role and skills needed to work in a university library and a public library, national libraries, are so different that we are starting thinking about different professions actually working in these separate types of libraries. So we have very tough questions and challenges. This is not obvious that library, which we know from our childhood, will survive in the same way. And national library should find their own. National libraries should find their own way as other libraries.
You've mentioned challenges and changes, and I think one of the challenge is that everything is changing very fast, and well, libraries have to adjust to these changes. So could you could you try to think of the advantages of these changes, and maybe this so-called transformation is just taking us nowhere? Professor Gudauskas.
Adjust, no. Contribute. To be ahead, actually, it's possible. You know, we have spoken today about big data analytics, about artificial intelligence, emotional artificial intelligence. In the last years, we had human-computer interaction. Now we have web science and human-computer interaction. High-performance supercomputing, digital humanities, we are part of it. So, and inside we still have data management, information management, knowledge management. It's our profession. But I have in my hands a very fresh book. It's Open Knowledge Institutions. It means reinventing universities. National Library or any library I understand as lifelong learning university in general. I don't know how it is possible to reinvent university without reinventing libraries, national libraries, research libraries, etc. So we have a common goal, and it is about change management in general. So I call it, if in previous times, major problem of management, strategic management was managing of complexity. Now the much more complicated problem, how to manage digital complexity.
When a librarian gets the first position, must be sure that one thing will be stable. Everything will change in its life. Everything will change. And this librarian who went to transfer a library when he was 25 till times when he's 60, he or she is 60, will fail. When we become librarians, we make a decision that everything will change in our life with changes in technology, with changes in expectations of our readers or users, and we are open for that. And that is why being a librarian is so nice, that we know that we will change. We will be changing all the time, and this is the greatest fun in this profession. Being a librarian is not a kind of martyrdom, really. We don't want to transfer ancient world into our times. We want to transfer texts. We want to transfer examples. We want to expand our knowledge. But we are not want to transfer everything what happened before and to implement in our times. And that is why being a librarian, being this bridge between these ancient and current times are so nice, because we must be changed as fast as technology and society is changing, and there is no other way.
Ms. Andresoo, I know that the Estonian approach to changes is very bright, I think.
Yes, if you mean our e-government and or e-developments in our country. Yes, and this brings different problems if we are speaking about changes, and that we have to think this way, that everything is changing and we can't change this. But if we are speaking about e-government, e-services, then this biggest problem probably is digital divide, that all people can't be so we can't include them immediately, providing different e-services, and this is the problem if we are speaking changes, and this is about pace of changes. how fast they are going, and if society is able to
adjust?
Yes, exactly. And this is the same in every smaller organization, but in the scale of all state, I mean, I think it's one of biggest problems that it brings different barriers.
You're talking about the new generation and the other generations, yes? This gap.
It's a gap between different generations.
But I think elderly, all this elderly society is flooding actually libraries because they want to use the internet access and they want to learn. Is it the same everywhere?
Yes, and here is a special mission of libraries and also national libraries to make this gap as small as possible, and to bring this knowledge about digital knowledge and digital skills to the society and to take away all these barriers. And this is really mission of National Library. And for example, our library is leading project for all public libraries. We are training librarians, first of all, 1,000 librarians, and then librarians will teach citizens. And this is a mission of libraries.
What is the situation in Poland?
It's very similar, because what is really surprising in those libraries who are not digitally oriented are not visited very frequent by older people. What is very strange. We are preparing a special report every year on libraries and our reading in Poland separately, and we can find out that all people who raised before 1989, which is a border in our history, obvious, all these people are not using libraries as we think they do. Young people who are using new technologies are best readers, actually. What is important? Because reading books, paper or electronic books, are part of activity. And this is actually the answer. When you are active, doesn't matter if you are old or young, you are using everything you have, what civilization delivered. It means you can use a paper book with big letters, and you can use your electronic version. You can enlarge, and we know many older people with eye problems using electronic tools because they're more useful than paper version. And preparing librarians for teaching adult, older people are crucial, because there is no other institutions except libraries which can teach adult people. Schools are for only young people, and they are doing that quite well. But when we consider 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 even years old people, especially from poor areas, rural areas, there are only libraries which can teach anybody in technology. 2/3 libraries in Poland are in rural area. That is why we protect them, and we want to keep all libraries on their places, because we know that it will be the only place when adult people can learn technology. And believe me, young people think that they will be modern even when they will retire. Believe me, not. Because technology is running so fast right now that the difference between today 20 years old and 70 years old after 50 years will be much bigger than today. That is why we need libraries as a places when I can learn in 20, 30 years technology. Just we want to protect libraries as a places which can learn everything you need as a citizen, because we must consider public libraries as a civil right, as like healthcare. We have right to have library in our neighborhood, free, well-equipped, open in hours we want to visit, and with smiling librarian.
Exactly. Ms. Ingrida, Veliutė wanted to add something.
Yeah, I actually agree with you, because we have also some libraries in a very small, I don't know, cities that have so strong connections with the reader that they are just coming to library to sit here, to, I don't know, to pay for water or for everything.
And you're talking
for
about
electricity.
The situation in Lithuania.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they are like really like family members, and they are just coming not only for the technologies, and especially libraries are getting deeper and deeper to the people community with the new technologies also. So I think in Lithuania it's a very different, similar situation.
Could you tell us about the situation here, Professor Gudauskas? Is it the same situation? I think we have quite a good situation here.
Yes. You know what I'm trying to remember. 2-3 weeks ago, I am participating in European Big Data Value forums. Already 3 forums happened. And, you know, speaking about technologies development, how do you think, how long is long-term horizon in big data development? Who can tell me?
We can guess? Have no idea.
1 year, yes. 1 year, and that's all. So any dream, any expectations that you will be always advanced is hopeless. Right now, when we are discussing, so many developments are going on, and if libraries will be away out of this field, we will be away out of business. So that's why I am coming back again to the situation. We have current competences which we can do some current reality, but we need next level of competences in order to do next level of reality. It's gap management. It's gap management. Otherwise, we will have trash management.
We've mentioned already a little bit digital humanities, and libraries have been still trying to find their place in the context of digital humanities. What is the place, in your opinion, of libraries in the context of digital humanities today? Professor Gudauskas, I think you have insights.
Number one. I think it is possible to be number one for libraries, especially for national libraries as national aggregators, like in Europeana, for example. But also, let's go to our situation. Our national library is main research, national and parliamentary library. So we are a real hub of competences with very high responsibilities. And if we can cover this responsibilities with highest level of competencies, we can be very leading institution. And I have told, and I was trying to present in my presentation today, what kind of strategic projects we can manage, and having such kind of influence into society, we have opportunity to be leading institutions.
Ms. Janne Andresoo, maybe also you could add some thoughts about Estonia.
Yes, speaking about the role in the context of digital humanities, role of national libraries. Yes, national libraries has huge amount of digital data, and it's increasing every day. and this means that national libraries are responsible to make all this data available different way, and digital humanities is one of this area or field which is related to this context. And I think that this general responsibility is make to all this data available, but the way how to make data available, this is a question. If National Library is responsible to make all of these instruments, speaking about digital humanities, or what is the this role of National Library. In our case, we are working very closely with researchers to find this way what is the best way how can National Library contribute to digital humanities, if it's instruments or if it's software or what is this role. So we are on the way, and I think that it's a field, as I mentioned already, we should collaborate with our national libraries, and we are already doing this, because this is, we are trying to find the best way how to contribute to this issue.
Mr. Makowski.
We ask ourselves, what do they need? I mean, academics, what do they need from our services, our collections? And we answer they want to have everything online. Very short answer. That is why we decided to prepare our collections to be used, because as Professor Gudauskas mentioned, our horizon is so unpredictable that we can't prepare our services as best tools for academics, but we can prepare content to be used by tools they can find in their universities, commercial services, or prepared by their own. That is why we focused on our connections, on our collections, preparing in that way to be used in very useful formats. And first, we cataloged everything we have. And 2 years ago, we stopped cataloging historical collections. And everything what is online in our catalogs is really in our stocks. And there is nothing else, except deposits, of course. Second answer was we are cataloging in 24 hours workflow. Every book who approach library door is cataloged next day. And this is obvious for us that book who are spending 3 weeks on the desk has no better description than cataloged at once. So we are preparing that, and every academic knows that everything he or she needs is online. Books, periodicals, everything, including articles from 2,500 periodicals. So we are preparing this data very fast, and this is obvious that academics needs fast information, not delayed information. If we will have delayed information, he will find new source. Third answer was prepare digital library. That is why we are digitizing every day more than 2,000 books. And this is obvious for everybody that we need that digital content not only as objects but also as texts, so prepared to OCRing and using by academics. And fourth, what to do with copyright, protected by copyright material. We prepared digital interlibrary loan, and every library in Poland can have service, connection with National Library, can offer in every library in Poland, every copyrighted, protected by copyright material, doesn't matter, using interlibrary service. Doesn't matter if you are using post system or you are using internet, you can find out every material on the computer in the library. And this is, of course, strengthen of public libraries as well, not only building other services. So digital humanities are so unpredictable. So the only solution for Polish National Library is to prepare their content to be used. And we can find many examples of using our content. We are just saying, this is our treasure. This is not, we are not a possessor of that. Our stacks as a nation wealth, and you should use it. Doesn't matter in what way, commercial, educational, for your own purposes. We shouldn't afraid of that.
Just before this discussion, me and Ms. Jan Andresoo chatted a little bit about the use of the heritage. Do you encounter a sufficient use of digital heritage in your practice?
It depends if you are speaking about if our digital collections are available enough or accessible enough, then first of all it depends on digitization, how is going digitization of collections, how far we are. In our case, I can say that Estonian collections, we have digitized only 15% of our publications. So it takes time, but now we have a massive digitization project going in Estonia. So we hope to get a huge amount of digitized material in nearest future. But speaking about this topic, that how we make it available, it's never enough. And so all these platforms and all these user interfaces are changing all the time, and always they are not user friendly somehow, and always we have opportunity to make them more user friendly, to design them more user friendly, but also we can speak here about cooperation or collaboration, making digital collections available. We have Europeana, and this is one of the portals for users to get digital material from all Europe. But I think we have there, speaking about Europeana, a lot of issues to solve, yes. And maybe Renaldas, you like to speak about this, or better
more
not,
specific
better
about
not.
these issues.
Really to know that
everything is solved. That's the best
No.
answer. Not solved.
No, they are not solved, but maybe it's too. We are going to in detail speaking about these issues. Yes.
Okay, now we have to move on, and I'd like to ask everyone to take a look at the screen again and to listen to a question prepared by Director General of the Lithuanian National Radio and Television, Monika Garbačiauskaitė-Budrienė.
Šiais laikais organizacijose, vadyboje yra labai svarbus kūrybiškumas, jis vis labiau vertinamas. Vadybos principų, tam tikrų dalykų galima išmokti, perskaityti vadovėliuose, o štai kūrybinio mąstymo, kitokio požiūrio, tai paprastai neišmoksi. Nacionalinės bibliotekos yra svarbi platforma minties raidai, atviroms diskusijoms, apsikeitimui idėjomis ir taip pat, žinoma, moksliniams tyrimams ir kitai universaliai veiklai. Ar to pakanka, kad nacionalinės bibliotekos būtų pripažintos pasaulinėmis? Kokį vaidmenį kūrybiškumas užima pasaulinių bibliotekų raidoje?
So, creativity. Maybe Dr. Tomasz Makowski have some
We
insights.
answered that question partly in our previous answers. This is a very big question. How we should protect our collections and to give access, or we should have possibility to create anything outside libraries. And this is very difficult answer, and actually I have a very skeptical answer for that. I think many institutions are established to use our collections, and we can be oriented to this creative institutions, but we will not be responsible for using our collections, so speaking frankly. But of course we are preparing everything to be open, to be creative. What is important for us is to protect our unique role. The unique role, it means we should have everything what was published, doesn't matter printed or digital, and we could give as wide access as it is possible. And of course we should be, what wasn't mentioned till now, neutral place and neutral service for everybody. We think that libraries are places where everybody should feel free and creative. That is why we consider libraries not only as a services. This is the question. If internet, the biggest library actually, internet is the biggest library we can imagine, will replace libraries, public libraries, school libraries, academic. Will not, because we need such places and people who will be protected for many reasons. First of this reason for me is this is our need to have this safe place, not asylum, not sanctuary, not temple, but place when we can go and be creative and doing whatever we want, of course, when we consider library stuff. And I think we will not can across another services because of many purposes, starting with budgets.
Ms. Ingrida Veliutė, can libraries inspire creativity today?
Actually, I think the libraries are quite creative at the moment, and from the coming the books to the beach or to the older people or to the schools and etc. But I think that the creativities have some rules, and that it is very important that the library could be a very good place for open tools and open materials where the people could get them in the library, not only as an organizers or culture centers and so on, but the places for tools and materials where the people could come, take it, use it, and start to be creative because of the basis of these tools. So I think it is a most important thing, not only as organizers as itself.
Professor Gudauskas.
Well, it's very difficult answer for me because Monica has been one of my best students as a faculty of communication. I'm very happy that she has raised this question about creativity. And I think your example shows that creativity is much more important than others' competences when you are trying to do something differently, when you are trying to do innovation. What I like in libraries, I have worked in many jobs before I came to my current position, but I like high flyers. It's very special type of leaders, very special type of leaders. They are not followers. They always have followers, but they are not followers. So in this context, we need to develop many critical things in our current staff in order to achieve next level of our activities. And creativity, it was positioned in our value map. Thank you.
Estonians are always creative. Janne, Andresoo, could you share your thoughts?
Yes, I think that creativity is one of most important values for libraries because creativity gives this gives for library the role or this meaning that library is inspiring and library is this not only place but or ideas and all what is coming from a library helps to be more creative for users of library, and for our library creativity is really most important value. So and we are thinking this way that then we will inspire our users and we will help to create.
Thank you, and I'd like to say that time flies, and now it's time for the questions from the audience. Do we have any questions? Please raise your hands. Please be brave, because we have some time left, and we'd like you to ask something from what you heard today, from what you heard in this discussion. Because our directors, they said that they will answer even tricky questions, so that's why I'm encouraging you to be brave. Maybe we have some questions online? No. I think everything is clear said then. Well said. Yes, we have one question.
Luis, you have questions always. You have talked about dilemmas, but first of all, Janne.
I will be a gadfly again. We really haven't talked about one of the most crucial issues. We know that reading has changed radically, and there are countless studies which show that in certain demographic groups, reading does not take place in the way that you have been describing it. In some ways, I would like to ask you, what is your strategy? For instance, if I were to mention the question of integration, and I'm not going to be talking about the fact that, for instance, in Sweden, where you, in the last 4 years, you have had to integrate over almost 100,000 youngsters without parents, where libraries can play very important roles. I'm taking energized by what Liz said. What we really have is we have an entire generation which doesn't really buy into this library model at all. And I'm just asking, the question will be, we had this wonderful image by the last interview where we saw some younger visitors to the library. Our experience, of course, is that the younger people come to the library for the reason that Vytautas Landsbergis said. They come here for the environment, but they don't use our collections. And the library has turned into a sort of Starbucks, where you can come, you can experience soothing, nice environment, but
not reading.
They're not reading. And what's the how do you deal with that? How are you planning to deal with this new, I would say, this new group of immigrants?
Whoever wants to answer first.
This is a very difficult question. That is why I would like to convince you that in library history there is no obvious answers. It could look like that, but this is not true. You are making decisions, and we will see consequences and results in longer time than in other institutions. And that is why our decisions are so important. We must change probably everything if we don't want to change library. And this is not the first revolution we are living with. I'm a historian of libraries, and I remember quite well, from books of course, that we had many revolutions in library history. And even, I'm working 25 years in the National Library, and I remember how this library changed from the early 90s till now. And I remember from history of libraries, how they changed in 19th century, in 15th century, and we changed everything. And answer your question, we are challenging problems we have. And sometimes library want to solve problems we don't have. And we are not facing real problems which we can find in our societies. Libraries are responsible for societies. Not societies are responsible for libraries. And this perspective is crucial if you want to answer your question. Yes, that's obvious that we should give some answers for groups which are not using library in traditional way, and we should prepare it. And this is part of our development policy, and this is obvious. Some of them are unexpected, like emigre issue, but some of them are really obvious, like youngsters who are using internet like we using electricity. Our grandparents remember times without electricity, and they really must to change their life with electricity at home. We are a very similar situation right now with the internet. Youngsters using internet like we are using electricity, just exists. And they didn't bother traditional or now untraditional library we can find in our countries. So this is not easy to answer because they using library is different, and probably we will. This is very difficult to understand how they are using texts, not library but texts at all. So we are thinking especially not with youngster as a group, but we are thinking that among youngsters we can find several generations. This is not one generation. And their needs, it's so different when they are 5, 10, 15 years old. And probably this is the most important. If you want to deliver anything, they will accept, because we will not force them for anything, because they have existing library, the internet.
Thank
and,
you.
The last sentence in that. If they don't use sufficient library, they will not enter again. And this is our responsibility.
Thank you, Dr. Makowski. It wasn't hard at all for you, I think, to answer the question. Yes. And now I'd like to ask the recipe of Estonians. So, Ms. Jan Andresoo, is it too hard for you to answer?
It is. But recently we realized in the National Library of Estonia that that we need to do something with this issue. And first of all, we don't know how big or what is it. We know what is a problem, but how we define this. And we have not no plan still, but we are planning to make research or
society research.
Yes, and to know about young generations and reading habits and so on, and then we are going on to think what is our role, what is public library's role, and so on, and what we can do. But for now, we have no plan. Yes.
Do we have a plan, Professor Gudauskas?
We have a department of youth and children and youth, yes? And I see our beautiful experts here. And they are very active, and I think we have more solutions than problems in this field. I agree, Janne's question is very, very correct, because internet is, I'm often visiting UNESCO headquarters and Illush too, and internet we can call like killer application in general. Sometimes it is called even like nuclear weapon in general, because everybody can be damaged through internet, not only good things can come. But in any case, we need to accept those changes somehow, and to manage the dark side of internet. It's existing situation. And coming back to my first sentence about our department educational programs, well, maybe Kęstutis can tell, huh? No. We have best expert, that's why he is silent. Okay, I was trying to improvise, but I think it's very important to start from the very beginnings, from young generation. I know that some little guys are reading not only internet, they are reading 200, 300, how many hundreds per day? Saul? 200, my grandchild, yes? Okay. Anukas, kaip vadinasi?
Grandchild.
Grandchild is reading 20 pages per day, so it's normal. Also using internet.
Thank you. And our time is over. First of all, thank you, Mr. Jānis Kreslinš, for the great question. Thank you all. I would like to remind that today we've been here with the 3 national libraries, 3 general directors of our national libraries. Jan Andresoo, Director General of the Lithuanian Library of Estonia, Dr. Tomasz Makowski, Director General of the National Library of Poland, and Professor Dr. Renaldas Gudauskas, Director General of the Martynas Mažvydas National Library of Lithuania, and we've been joined by Vice Minister of Ministry of Culture of the Republic of Lithuania, Ms. Ingrida Veliutė. I'd like to thank you all, and I think the best thing is collaboration and exchanging ideas. So I wish all the best to all of you, and I should say to all of us. And I'll say my final words maybe from here. So dear conference attendees and guests, on behalf of the organizers, I'd like to close the International Academic Conference, the 21st Century Libraries, Traditions and Innovations, by expressing my sincere thanks to all the speakers for their insightful presentations and to the discussion participants for their original insights and ideas.